out there. Hi, I'm Richard Hartogs, and this is the Better Beer Authority. Tonight we're doing another live BBA blind taste test. I purchased a six-pack of beer. I peeled off the label. I took a Sharpie. I covered the bottle cap in black. I think Mark, who's on the panel, thought it was a home brew. I kind of wish it was now, but it's not. Anyway, so we have four panelists. We have Andrew Lewandowski, part of the Virginia crew, Mark Nisu. If I mispronounce your name when you speak, let me know. He's been on our panel before. We've got Sandy Edwards. She's from Lawrenceville, Georgia, I think, or near Atlanta. She's an old friend of mine from back home. She started the beer group that I now run. And we have Liz Murphy from Annapolis. She's a beer writer for Capital Gazette, and she has her own blog called Naptown Pint. So let's get started. Everyone, why don't you pour your beer? And for you live viewers, if you have any questions, type them. This is also my first time having this beer. The only difference is I know what it is.
Cheater.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we still want to, we can still do the Ask BBA hashtag.
We didn't do that this time. Anyway, so...
Yay, dark beer.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with Sandy, so if everyone wants to mute, except for you, Sandy. Welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself, and then tell me what you're getting out of the smell of this beer.
Hi, I'm Sandy Edwards. I'm with the Georgia Craft Brewers Guild here in Atlanta, Georgia, and also have a spin-off Beerhead Atlanta. Just does a little beer blogging, small events around town. About it. Aroma. Getting a little bit of chocolate malt. Kind of like a cola.
All right.
Chocolate malt and cola, I would say, is my aroma I get.
Awesome. All right, so let's switch to Liz. Welcome as well. If you want to unmute, there you go. And
Good.
I want you to tell us about yourself as well. And then, since I usually don't ask about how the appearances of the beer in the studio, but since lighting levels are different here, tell us if there's any lacing in this beer and what it looks like, and give me your first thoughts on the beer.
Sure. So I'm Liz Murphy. Actually, I'm originally from D.C., but now I live in Annapolis. Let's see. But yeah, kind of like you said, I write a weekly column in the Capital Gazette family of newspapers, which is based in Annapolis in Anne Arundel County. And then I also post gratuitous photos of my dogs and beer on the internet on my blog because nobody can tell me not to. Okay, so in terms of how this looks, I mean, to be honest, when I poured it, the head was there, it was like maybe 3/4 of an inch. It dissipated really quickly though, and there's actually, there's a little bit of lacing, but it doesn't really stick around too much. In terms of smell, I also got a little bit of coffee. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Crown Valley coffee porter I had once, a very, very long time ago. But I didn't even think of the cola, so thumbs up to Sandy. That was exactly kind of what I was trying to pinpoint. But yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's go to Andrew. What are the flavor characteristics that you're pulling?
I mean, very similar. I'm getting more out of more than anything with this. Yeah, that roastiness, a good coffee bitterness. That, I mean, the coffee is just more. I mean, but it's not a intense, coffee flavor. But I think the matching with just a kind of, a little bit of dark chocolate roasted flavor, But yeah, nice, you know, a nice layering of a coffee flavor is the main that I'm getting out of this.
Awesome. Mark, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
After your appearance, was it February or March? I think you've been
Doesn't
requested.
seem that long.
The fans have requested to see you again.
Wow.
So we'll try to get you on the studio.
Yeah.
What's
I'm
that? Awesome. You put the rest of us to shame. Let's see. What style is this beer, and is this something you think you've had before?
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say it's a porter. I think as everybody said thus far, I get a lot of roasted qualities. Really rich roasted barley. Definitely get that Coca-Cola. A little bit of chocolate. Subtle bitterness. The reason why I'm going to say it's a porter, I think, is the mouth feels pretty light, and it tastes to me like it's a relatively low ABV, and there's some residual sweetness, unlike a lot of dry stouts. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that it's a porter, but I am willing to be surprised. So.
All right. It's funny about once Sandy mentioned the soda, you're like, oh yeah, I kind of get some. So let's see here. So now we're back to you, Sandy. So I want you to give your rating and why, and then tell the viewers the strongest flavors that you're pulling from this.
I would the BBA rating scale. I would go with an 8 for recommended. Taste. It's a lot of chocolate, coffee, but I don't get the porter. I would probably go more brown ale because I don't feel like, while it's thin, it's not. I don't think it's like an in between, but not necessarily a porter. But there's definitely like a chocolatey. It's kind of like chocolate covered hops.
Okay. All right. So I should write this down so I can figure out everyone's rating. So you get an 8 for Sandy. All right. And now we're gonna go to you, Liz.
Hello.
Here's my rating and why, and does the aroma match the taste?
So I'm actually going to go with a 7. Just because I think it is good, and going by the scale here, I would drink it any day of the week. Absolutely, it was put in front of me. But I will say on the finish, it has a little bit of a bite to it. I don't know if anybody else got that or if it's just mine. That actually borders on slightly astringent. But otherwise, I think it's really good. I do really appreciate the fact that the cover, so to speak, matches the contents of the book, meaning the aroma actually it's followed up by the taste. Because that is the most annoying bait and switch, man. When this beer, it smells amazing. Oh my god, it's gonna be life changing. Oh, awesome! It's glorified tap water. Dope. I really hate that. It makes me really upset. But yeah, I mean, I really like it. Again, I'm gonna still stick with porter though, just because I totally see where Sandy's coming from. It is kind of on the edge, but when I've had porters that are on the coffee side of the spectrum, they tend to seem a little bit thinner to me, at least. And also, I always have to remind myself never follow the old adage of "but you're not a stout" syndrome. So I'm gonna stick with porter, but yeah, solid 7, pretty darn good. Also a little bit of almond.
All right, now let's go to whose question? Yeah, I have Andrew. Rating and why, and tell us about the mouthfeel.
Rating, I'm going to go with Liz on this one and give it a 7. I mean, it's definitely a good beer. Mouthfeel-wise, I have to also kind of agree with Mark, and that I believe this to be a porter because, similar to what he had already mentioned, it does taste a little bit thinner than you would expect sometimes from a stout. I've had many, stouts and porters alike that have sensed to be even thinner than this. I mean, and this isn't thin in a bad way for this style. I think with the amount of coffee that I get out of it, it does, kind of match together nicely. But it is a bit of a thinner mouthfeel than others that I've had.
Okay. 7 for Andrew. And we're going to go to you, Mark.
Okay.
Give me your rating and why. Let me know if there's anything off-putting with this beer. And tell me what you like most about this beer, if anything.
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit hardline here. I'm going to give it a 5, which on the BBA scale is an average. So, considering a bell-shaped curve here. There's several things that I like about it. I like the kind of roasted malt quality. I like the lightness of it to a certain extent. Probably my favorite or my least favorite aspect of it, I think, is the carbonation. It's a little bit fizzy, and that might be some of where that Coca-Cola is coming from. Has that kind of like fizzy, slightly high carbonation for the style. I guess my favorite aspect of it, I think, is the kind of the coffee roasted malt qualities.
Awesome. All right, so we're ready for the reveal now. Does anyone want to take a guess at what it is before I show everyone what the bottle is?
Can we ask if it's American or British?
It's American.
Okay.
I'm going to show it to you in a second. So, all right, here it is. Can you see it?
Wow.
It's Duck Rabbit Milk Stout.
I would
Nice.
not have guessed milk stout at all.
So,
Dang.
Never.
I was looking for a little bit of the lactose, the creamy mouthfeel when I'm drinking it. This is my first time drinking it. And I did a little research on this beer today on the forums, and there are some astringency issues with it. So so I think that's some of it right there. So
Yeah, because now that you say the lactose, I totally get that, but it's kind of that combination of the astringency and then what Mark mentioned with the effervescence. It's just, it kind of kills what you normally get with a milk stout finish for me.
Sure.
So I don't know.
all right. Well, I'm glad I could set you a slightly astringent beer. That was. When I went to the store, I went looking for a few other beers, and then this one caught my eye. I wanted to avoid an IPA because we had done those a lot.
Their amber is spot on, though.
What's that?
The amber that they do is a very excellent.
That's it. I mean, a lot of people like Duck Rabbit. Sandy, my follow-up question for you is actually, do you get this beer in Georgia? It sounds like you do. If somebody wanted a milk stout that was made by a Georgia brewer, what would you recommend?
Milk stout. I don't know that anyone is making a milk stout, and it's so off season right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing IPAs and the saisons, and I can't think off the top of my head anyone that does milk stout. I make a killer homebrew milk stout though with Pete's Coffee.
All right, there we go. Isn't Moohoo from Terrapin a milk stout?
Yes, but that is like a limited release giant bottle, hard to get kind of thing. So.
Is it?
I think.
The white chocolate one is.
Oh yeah, that's the and the Cinnabon.
Oh, the Cinnabon. Yeah. Awesome. Mark, give me your final thoughts.
Oh, okay. So I was surprised that it was a milk stout. I think that's some of the sweetness that at least I was picking up, but I think several people mentioned. But I think a milk stout's typically is much creamier, kind of similar to like a dry Irish stout, but with residual sweetness and kind of like my go-to milk stout is Young's Double Chocolate, and I think that's like spot on. They hit exactly all the highlights of that beer. So this doesn't stand up to that, but it's a fine drinking beer. I think if you came looking for milk stout, though, you might be disappointed.
Awesome. All right, Andrew, have you had this before, and what are your favorite milk stouts?
I have had this before, but to be completely honest, it's probably been at least 2 or 3 years since I've had it. So, I really can't. It's hard to compare. I have to kudos to Mark on the Young's Double Chocolate. That was kind of one of my first entries into those, and that's like, especially you get the canned version, it's a liquid chocolate, like a chocolate milkshake. But comparing it to other milk stouts, I mean, the first one that I typically think of, um, you know, within like the U.S. is left-hand milk stout, and not even the nitro. I mean, which I think the nitro version's great, but even just the standard left-hand milk stout. I mean, I think if you were to have that compared to this one, I think you would notice quite a few differences between the two. Because, like I said, it's a stout, but that effervescence and the bubbliness. Like I said, it thinned it out and really made me think it was a porter.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you all for joining us. Liz, it was nice to meet you. Sandy, great to see you.
Thank you.
Mark, hopefully we'll see you soon. Andrew, we'll talk later, I'm sure. So, Duck Rabbit Craft Beer Company Milk Stout gets a 6.75 on the BBA scale. Have you had this before? Leave a comment in the comment section. Did you find any astringency issues like we did? I'm Richard Hartogson. This is your Better Beer Authority.